The lines drawn on the grid are two sides of a pentagon, complete the pentagon. So we need to remember that a pentagon is a five-sided shape. We have two sides, so we just need to draw three more sides. And of course there are lots of possible different ways of doing this. Here are five shapes made from equilateral triangles. Write the letter of the shape that is a rhombus. So we need to remember that with a rhombus we have four sides which are the same length, but the angles are not right angles. So the rhombus is this shape here, because we have four sides which are all the same length, but the angles are not 90 degrees. So that's shape E. Now write the letter of the shape that has only one pair of parallel sides. So we can see that shape A has two pairs of parallel sides, because remember, parallel sides are like train tracks. They're lines that would go on forever if we extended them without ever crossing. For shape B, we have three pairs of parallel sides, three pairs of sides that would go on forever if we extended them without crossing. Shape C does not have any pairs of parallel sides because we can't have a triangle with parallel sides. Shape D has one pair of parallel sides because this line here and this line here are not parallel. If we extended these lines, they would eventually cross at about this point here. And shape E has two pairs of parallel sides, so the shape that has only one pair of parallel sides is shape D. Here is a grid of dots. Point A and point B are joined by a straight line. Draw a line to join point A to another dot on the grid so that the two lines make a right angle. So remember, a right angle is a 90-degree angle, and that's the same size as the corner of a piece of paper or the corner of this screen. So if we look to get to point A from point B, we go down 3 across 2. So if we go down 2 across 3, that tells us where our dot will need to be. And then we can draw a straight line to join it to A. Or we could go down 3 and across 2, so if in the other direction we go across 3 and up 2, our dot could be this point here as well. The diagram shows two identical squares. A is the point 10, 10. What are the coordinates of B and C? Well, first let's find point B. We know that with coordinates, the first number we write is the x coordinate, and if we go down, we can see that x is in line with 0. So the x coordinate of B is 0, and then because we can see that point B is in line with point A, and that has a y coordinate of 10, we know that the y coordinate of B must be 10 as well. So B is 0, 10. Now we need to find the coordinates for point C. That's this point here. We go down and find our x coordinate first, but we can see that C is in line with A, which has an x coordinate of 10. So that means the x coordinate of C must be 10 as well. But now we need to find the y coordinate. Now we know that the y point here is 0 and here is 10, because remember point B is in line with point A and that has a y coordinate of 10. But we also know that the squares are identical. So to get from 0 to 10 is a difference of 10, so the y coordinate here must be another 10. So that means the y coordinate of C must be 20. The factors of 11 sum to 12. Write the other number whose factors sum to 12. So remember, if it's a factor, that means we can divide without getting a remainder. So the factors of 11 are 1 and 11. 11 is only in the 1 times table and the 11 times table, so 1 and 11 are its only factors, and 1 plus 11 is 12, so the factors sum to 12. Now we need to write the other number whose factors sum to 12. Our answer here is 6. That's because the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3 and 6. 1 times 6 is 6 and 2 times 3 is 6. So we can find factors by thinking of pairs. And if we divide 6 by any of these numbers, we won't get a remainder. And 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 6 is 12, so the factors of 6 sum to 12. Circle the percentage that is equal to 9/100ths. So a percentage is a fraction with a denominator of 100, and we have a denominator of 100 here. So 9/100ths is the same as 9%. Put these values in order with the smallest first. So our first number is 5 and then a little 2, so that's 5 squared. And when we square a number, we multiply it by itself. So 5 squared means 5 times 5, so that's 25. Now we have 3 squared, so that's 3 times 3, which is 9. But now we have 3 and then a little 3, so that's 3 cubed. And when we cube a number, we multiply it by itself and then multiply it by itself again. So 3 cubed means 3 times 3 times 3, because we multiply 3 by itself and then by itself again. 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. And now we have 2 cubed, so that's 2 times 2 times 2. We're multiplying 2 by itself and then by itself again. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 cubed will be our smallest number because that's the same as 8. Then we have 3 squared, which is 9. Then 5 squared, which is 25. And then our largest number will be 3 cubed because that's the same as 27. Here is a number line. Draw an arrow to show the position of 0.111. So we have 0.1 and 0.12 marked on our number line. And when we have decimals marked on a number line, it's a good idea to write zeros on the end. So we can have 0.100 and 0.120. So now both of our decimals have 3 digits after the decimal point. And the reason why we should write zeros so that they have 3 digits is because one of our decimals has 2 digits after the decimal point. So if we put a 0 on the end of that, and then on our other decimal as well, so that they both have 3 digits after the decimal point, then that will make reading this number line a lot clearer. So we can see that if this point here is 0.100 and this point here 0.120, the point right in the middle will be 0.110. And then, because we want to write 0.111, that will just be 1,000th, so one line more, so we need to draw our arrow here. Write the 3 prime numbers which multiply to make 231. So a prime number is a number with only 2 factors. A prime number is only in the 1 times table and its own times table. And here we have a missing number multiplication, so we'll need to use division. To find what this number here could be, we can divide 231 by a prime number. Now 2 is a prime number, but if we divide 231 by 2, that will give a remainder, and we can't multiply two numbers to get a remainder. So rather than dividing by 2, let's try dividing by 3, because 3 is a prime number as well. 3 is only in the 1 times table and the 3 times table. So if we divide by 3, we get 77. So if this number here is 3, our other two numbers will need to give a product of 77, because this shows us that 77 times 3 is 231. Now 11 times 7 is 77, so our numbers must be 11, 7 and 3, and they're all prime numbers because 11 is only in the 1 times table and 11 times table, 7 only in the 1 and 7 times tables, and 3 is only in the 1 and 3 times tables. Circle all the multiples of 8 in this list of numbers. So we need to remember that a multiple of 8 is a number in the 8 times table, or a number that we can divide by 8 without getting a remainder. So 18 is not a multiple of 8 because that's not in the 8 times table. But 32 is a multiple of 8 because 4 times 8 is 32. 56 is in the 8 times table because 7 times 8 is 56. 68 is not in the 8 times table, so not a multiple of 8. And 72 is a multiple of 8 because 9 times 8 is 72.